All right, Integrated Math 3 distance learners, we are starting off quarter two strong here today with a lesson over a new topic, one that you will have not seen before, polynomial division. So I've described this class as, we call it polynomial gymnastics, right? So we have, last part of this unit, Unit 2.1 was factoring. So we've taken these polynomials and we factored them and put them into different forms using different methods like factoring quadratic, GCF, difference of squares, factoring by grouping, all kinds of things. So you guys did really well on the last test with that. So we're going to keep moving forward. You should know from integrated 1 even how to do polynomial multiplication, addition, subtraction. So we've got all of those skills down, but now in integrated 3 we are moving forward to what's called polynomial division. Yes, you can divide them just the same way that we divide 36 by 9 and get 4. We can take a complicated looking, which I'm going to go ahead and write our first example here. So example, take this complicated looking polynomial, and I'm going to go ahead and assure you that this is one of the more complicated examples that we're going to look at. We'll simplify it in a bit, but I want to go ahead and start sort of with the more difficult one to get things going, okay? All right, so we can do this. I know it looks like it's the most impossible thing ever, but I promise you can do it, okay? But before we do it, we need to label these parts because I'm going to be going through distinct steps for you to be able to do this division, okay? So let's go ahead and let's draw some arrows here. Go ahead and write this out, and let's draw a little bit. So up top, we have what's called the dividend. Okay. Down below, we have what's called the quotient. Nope, that's wrong. Divisor. Surely this isn't the first time that you've seen this. You would have learned this probably in 5th or 6th grade, these terms. But now maybe that you're older, they make more sense because you know more words. And so we have the divisors dividing into the dividend. And then the outcome of that is called the quotient. Okay, so we have our vocabulary ready. Now we want to figure out, how do I do this division? Now there's a couple ways that we can do this, but I'm going to pick one lane and I'm going to stick with it. All right, because a lot of times I'll show multiple methods and it gets very confusing, but we're going to stick with what's called, move down. We're going to stick with what's called synthetic division. Okay, synthetic division. I missed an I, sorry about my spelling. Division. Okay, so synthetic division is what we're going to be using to do this. So we're going to have to list out some steps. Okay, so the first thing that we want to do, and again, this is the more complex example. We'll do an easier one next. So I'm going to do 2 examples in this video. There'll probably be more in future videos, but I'm going to do a more complex one to start and then a simpler one to do second, okay? So the first step, we're going to list out steps for synthetic division. First, you want to get the divisor in the form x minus r. Sometimes it's already in this form, but you'll notice that we have an issue because of this 5, okay? So we have 5x minus 4. I need to get rid of the 5. So how we're going to do that is we are going to divide by 5. Whatever that first term is, we're going to divide by it. Now, if this didn't have the 5, we would be good. But since it has it, we have to deal with it. So what that's going to do is this. It's going to change it into x minus 4 over 5. So look at that. I divided 5 by 5, and I divided the negative 4 by 5. Okay? So we have manipulated that divisor. Okay? Now, the second part is this. The dividend must also be divided by this number. So what that means is I need to take that, what we just read, the 50x cubed plus 10x squared minus 35x minus 7, and all of that needs to get divided by 5. So that's going to get us, well, 50x cubed divided by 5 is 10x cubed, plus 10 divided by 5 is 2x squared. Then negative 35 divided by 5 is negative 7x. And then negative 7 over 5 is negative 7 over 5. And we're just going to write it that way. Okay. So here is our new dividend. So our result will now be 10x cubed plus 2x squared minus 7x minus 7 over 5 divided by, we want our new divisor, which is x minus 4 over 5. All right, that's the first setup process. Now, you don't always have to do this. Again, look at step 1. Was it in x minus r format? It wasn't, but if it was, we wouldn't have to do this first or second part. We could just go to this third part. Okay? So the third part is this. We want to set up synthetic division. First, find the zero of the divisor. So what does that look like? Well, here's our divisor, x minus 4 over 5. What is the zero of that? We set it equal to 0. That's going to be x equals 4 fifths. Done. We have that 0. Okay. Second, we are going to place the 0 of the divisor and the coefficients Geez, my spelling is perfect today. Hold on. Don't judge my spelling. Of the dividend into the synthetic oh my lord. Hold on. Really messing this up. The synthetic division table. All right, so we're going to create our very first synthetic division table. And this is what it looks like. We're going to always draw a little mark like that, a line straight down, and then one of those. So this is our synthetic division table. So 0 always goes here. So we're going to put that that 4 fifths up here. And then the coefficients are going to be lined up here. So we look at our coefficients. Well, the first one was 10, then it was 2, then it was -7, and then it was -7/5. So those are our coefficients. And that's done. Okay, that's how we want to set this up. All right. So that is the sort of the third phase here is setting this up. Always put the 0 here. The coefficients get lined up here. Remember those coefficients, it's in standard form, highest power to lowest power here. Now that we have that set up, we are, and I'm going to write my steps over here. We're going to form synthetic division. All right, so I'm going to list these steps with letters now. The first thing we want to do is drop down the first coefficient. Here we go. The 10 is the first coefficient. It gets dropped down below, so 10 goes here. We're going to mark that as A. Okay, it gets dropped down. B, we're going to multiply the dropped coefficient with the 0. Place the product. Product means multiplying, right? Under the next coefficient. Okay, so 10 times 4/5. So fractions, a little bit challenging here, but 10 times 4/5. I know that if I take that 5 on the bottom, divide the 10, it gets 2. This should actually be 8. Okay, all right, it becomes 40 over 5, which is 8. Okay, so this is B. Okay, next, C. So we want to add the coefficient to the product. So that's B, what we did in B. We're going to add these two together. So 2 plus 8 is 10. Okay. So now we've done synthetic division, and we just repeat these steps until complete. All right, so we're going to do this again. Bottom number here, what just got added, times 4 over 5. So that gets me 8 again. We add these together, that gets me 1. We multiply, that gets me, so 1 times 4 over 5 is just 4 over 5. Then we add these. Since they have the same denominator, we can just add the tops. -7 plus +4 is -3 over 5. There we go. So we've got our synthetic division is actually complete. Now we want to finish this off. I'm going to go ahead and write part 5 here. I believe we're on 5. Yep, 5. So 5 goes here. We're going to write out the quotient. I actually need to give myself some space. Sorry about that. Erase this. Leave some room underneath these numbers here, because we're going to label them. So 5, write out your quotient and remainder. All right, so first off, let me draw a shape here. We'll make it blue. That's not what I wanted. A rectangle, okay. Be blue, okay. This section here and this section here are very important, okay? So this is your remainder. Just like normal division, if you divide by a number that's not a factor, you will have a remainder always. Here is the quotient. Now it's not in the correct form yet, but this is what we're going to use. These are the coefficients of your quotient. So right here we have the constant term. This is the first power. And then it just keeps ascending. This is the second power. And if we had another number, it'd be the third. And if we had another number, it'd be the fourth, so on and so forth. So this is all important information for us to write out this quotient. Now, let's go ahead and write this down. So we have the second power. So this means it's 10x squared plus, here's to the first power, 10x. Here's the constant plus 1. Now let's talk about this remainder. I'm not just going to do this and get away with it, okay? Because that's not enough. So let's talk about how to write the remainder. So we're going to say this. The remainder will always be in the following form. So on top, so you're going to make a fraction, and it's going to be remainder over divisor and what does that look like in our example? Well, we would have, what was the remainder? It was negative 3/5, so negative 3 over 5. What was the divisor? It was x minus 4/5. All right, so we'll put this up here in a second, but this is not sort of in its cleanest format. We want to fix it, okay? So we're going to write one more note. Simplify remainder if possible. So yes, even though it may look very complicated to fix this remainder, we are going to have to do it. Okay, so let's talk about a little bit of this, a little bit of number, I guess arithmetic that you can use to help change this. Well, first off, anytime you have a fraction on the top of a fraction, you can always rewrite it like this. So I can put that negative 3 on the top, and that 5 can go to the bottom, and it's going to be multiplied by that whole expression down there. So look what I did, just make sure that makes sense. This 5 can actually go on the bottom because it's already division, right? So it's already division, so it can just go on the bottom. And now down here we can distribute, so we're multiplying. So this is equal to negative 3 5x, and then these 5s here will go away, they'll divide away. So here is my simplified expression, and you'll notice that this 5x minus 4 is actually what we had originally as for a divisor. That will always happen, by the way. Okay, so here is our new expression. I'm going to go ahead and put this negative out in front. It's going to go in the front. I'm going to pull it out. So now we're going to go back up here, and we are going to put that here next to 5, so it's minus 3 over 5x minus 4. And this is our final answer. Again, I told you that this was going to be one of the more complex examples we would do. I wanted to go straight into it like this, just so that we could really see what we're getting into with this division. But let's do an easier one now, okay? Let's do something a little bit simpler. Let me pull up an example that's going to be simpler for us. So let's do, here we go. So we're going to do, go to a new page here. Let's try this example, example 2. So, and this will be the last one for this video. So we're already 20 minutes in. Example 2, we're going to do 8p4 to the 4th plus 3p to the 3rd minus 2p squared minus 7p minus 10. It's going to be divided by p plus 1. Okay, step 1. Is it in the form x minus r? Well, we'll say that p can be equivalent to x, so yes. So I don't have to do step 2. I can go straight to step 3, which is let's set up the synthetic division. So first off, what is the 0 for the divisor? Well, the 0, p plus 1 equals 0, p is equal to negative 1. So we're going to go ahead and do step 2, which is set up the table, right? Let me make sure we got that correct. It says place the 0 in and the coefficients of the dividend into the synthetic division table. So I don't know, I put 3 here. Hold on. Fix that. So 2 of them. Okay. So we're going to make our little table. So we always do that little mark there. A line straight across. We have this little part here. We're going to put the 0, which is negative 1. Then we're going to list out all the coefficients. So it starts at 8, 3, negative 2, negative 7. By the way, this last coefficient always goes above the remainder. Okay, so maybe it's better to like list these out first, then put that little mark. But the constant always goes above that. All right, so now we do step 4. Let's perform synthetic division. You start, pull down the first term. That's 8. Multiply. We get negative 8. Add negative 5. Multiply 5. Add 3. Multiply negative 3. Add negative 10. Multiply, that gets us positive 10 and 0. The reason I said this was going to be easier is because whenever you get a 0, that means it's a perfect factor. So there is no remainder here. So now we go to step 5, which is write it out. We're going to get, we start with the highest power. So this is constant first. So I'm going to put x, excuse me, in this case it's p squared, p cubed. So we write this out, 8p cubed minus 5p squared. You always keep the symbols as well. If it's positive, you put positive 3p minus 10. There is no remainder, so I'm done. This is going to be my answer for this. And so they can be easy. The first example, obviously, I was teaching it, so it took a little bit longer. But these can go pretty quick once you get really good at it. There are plenty of Delta Math problems for you to practice this with. So that's what we'll have you do right now is you can go on Delta Math and get some extra practice. But I'm going to go ahead and stop this video right here.